What's going on, guys? I'm in Advantage and welcome back to another NHL 22 HUD video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking all of the master set items in the NHL 22 under 22 event master sets, so you can choose which players are going to be most advantageous to add to your HUD team. Without any further ado, let's get right into today's video. My goal for all my content is to make sure that you are a better player in HUD. So today's video is not simply just a ranking. I'm also going to give you alternatives to some of those more sought after players in this set. I know it can be a little bit enticing, but being that these are capped out at 92, I'm also going to give you a few other options because let's face it, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and sometimes it's money that goes into HUD. So I would greatly appreciate your feedback on this. Make sure you click like if you like the video. And if you love NHL 22 content, you love the video, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get into it, boys. Coming up at number 22 on our list is Cole CAUFIELD. Now, I do love the player, but I don't necessarily love the card. A couple reasons why. His synergies are okay. He is pretty quick with 95 excel, 94 speed. His shot's pretty good. Everything, obviously, in this card is pretty solid, but his size is just abysmal. 5'7", 165. Defensively, this card is a huge liability, and unfortunately, if you play with CAUFIELD's normal card in the game, he gets taken off the puck extremely easily. So that is why this card unfortunately ranks dead last as far as which ones you should choose. Now again, if you're a CAUFIELD fan or if you're a fan of any of these players, of course pick them up, but as far as an advantage in the game, I would probably stay away from Cole CAUFIELD. Coming in at number 21 on our list is Ty Smith. Now I do like the fact that he has distributor and also booming shot, light the lamp, or bombarded, so that certainly will help his shot from the point. But overall, this card, it's just one of the ones that I'm not a huge fan of because there's other better left-handed defensemen in here now. And I would say this one probably ranks towards the bottom of the list. Again, much like Cole CAUFIELD, at 5'11", only 175 pounds. This card is just not it for me. Coming in at number 20 is Spencer Knight at 6'3", 192. I do like the fact that he has distributor, fly the zone, or buzzing. Obviously, distributor is probably the one I would go to activate there. And of course, that's not going to affect any of his stats, just how your team is going to be established as far as synergies go. So again, probably fly the zone or distributor are going to be one of the two that you'll have activated. And he also has Bombarded, Magician, and Protector. Compared to other goalies, I do like this card. Obviously, it's one of the best that we have in the game right now. However, Ottinger, in my opinion, is a better option. Up next from the Columbus Blue Jackets is the 5'11", 179-pound defenseman, Adam BOQVIST. He's a right-handed defenseman, and again, much like it was with Ty Smith, there's just better right-handed defensive options in here. I do like a lot about this card, but again, with his size and everything else being pretty consistent, I would probably choose another option. Quick Pick obviously is great, as well as in reverse. I do like both of those, but overall, there's gonna be better options that you have here. Coming up next is Alex Turcotte. Now, across the board, this card is probably one of the most well-balanced one, but again, whenever you see a well-balanced card in HUD, they're probably good at everything, but they're not necessarily great at everything. So, obviously, acceleration and speed is a 92. He has a wingman, that's the only speed synergy he has, so this card's just gonna be a little bit too slow. He does have good superstar and zone abilities, but again, this card is just too middle of the road for me and doesn't stand out in really anything for me to choose it. Connor Bedard's card did receive a lot of hype in the beginning, especially with Fly the Zone activated. This card does look fast. However, from what I've heard from other players that have used him in the community, this card feels pretty sluggish. And again, at 5'10", 181, a sluggish card is not one that you want that could be easily taken off the puck. With his size, obviously, that's not going to increase. So I would leave this Connor Bedard card off the table. Now, if you were to choose a goalie out of this, I would probably steer clear of doing so. I have quite a few HUT coins and my team is already pretty stacked, so I'm probably gonna pick up Jake Ottinger. It's probably one of those cards that you can use throughout the rest of the game as far as stats go. His size at 6'5", 225. Other than adventure, his superstar abilities in No Timer and X-Ray are phenomenal. Light work is also interesting. It gives exceptional save ability and reaction time when facing wrist shots. Obviously, there's a ton of those that are faced in the game, so I'm really curious to see if that actually would work out well. But the long and short of it is this. If you can afford a goalie like Jake Ottinger and the rest of your team is already stacked, probably not a bad idea to pick him up because you can use him, in my opinion, for either the rest of the game or for a very long time where it would be worth it. However, if your team needs help elsewhere, I would leave Onager on the sideline. Now, the middle of the list for me here was a little bit difficult because a lot of these cards are pretty even across the board. In my opinion, EA did a pretty good job of keeping them fairly even. Of course, towards the end, there's about 3 or 4 that I would really go after. However, this card is a decent one. If you're a Rangers fan, I would probably go ahead and pick him up. I would probably lean towards ALEXIS LAFRENIÈRE instead. However, Kakko is not a bad card. I like his size, but I just think he's going to be a little bit slow. Again, he only has Buzzing, Wingman, and Spark, so that speed is going to feel a little bit sluggish. I just don't necessarily think that this card is worth all the coins. Up next from the Philadelphia Flyers is Joel Fabry at 6 foot 164. I do like the fact he has a distributor. I don't like the fact that he's only 164 pounds. I think he's going to get knocked off the puck a little bit too easily. But again, like any of these cards, if you're a Flyers fan, go ahead and pick him up. If you really want him on your team, he's probably going to be one of your favorite players, so I would lean towards picking him up for your team if you want to. And again, I do like close quarters. I mentioned that in the past, and I think Shutdown is one of the best zone abilities. So again, not a bad card. He's middle of the road as far as this set and these master set items are concerned, but he's not one that I would leap out of my seat to go and get. Up next from the Islanders is Noah Dobson at 6'3", 195. He's a pretty good sized defenseman. I just don't think with him, the biggest problem here is going to be his speed. I do like in reverse and I do like shutdown, especially for only 2 ability points. One of the best defensive zone abilities you can pick up, as we literally just mentioned. However, I think his speed is just a little bit sluggish, and I think there's better right-handed defensemen in the game. Up next is another New York Islander in Oliver Wahlstrom at 6'2", 212. I do like this card a lot. However, there's just so many other right-handed wingers out there that you can pick up. For example, a Pastrnak, a Panarin, an Ovechkin, right? And one of the things that has me a little bit hesitant on these cards is that they're maxed out at 92. So in a few months, unless it's one of the top 3 or 4 cards, a lot of these are going to be obsolete and probably just be hanging out on your 3rd and 4th line, and you spent close to 400,000 coins building them all the way up to 92. So Wahlstrom is one that I would leave on the sideline. And again, if you're an Islanders fan, you love Oliver Wahlstrom, pick him up. Otherwise, I would stay clear of him. Up next from the Anaheim Ducks is Jamie Drysdale. I do actually love this card. I think he's super quick. I like his size, and I think he's a very Cale Makar-like player, especially with quick pick as well as lead edges and wheels. It's very similar to Cale Makar's card. But I would probably activate quick pick if you did pick this card up. I have Makar, so I'm going to steer clear of him. And again, like we just mentioned, this card's capped out at 92. Makar's probably going to get to a 99 here at some point throughout the year. So if I'm you, I would target the Makar card, especially with how cheap the X Factors are going right now. I'd rather pick up Makar than Jamie Drysdale. But again, if you're an Anaheim Ducks fan, you're a Drysdale fan, pick him up. All right, guys, now we're getting into the top 10. Now, for me, the top 5 players are the ones you want to target. But these are the ones where I think they're going to be pretty good for your team. Now, we have Dylan Cozens at 6'3", 188. Spark, Buzzing, and Heart and Soul. Really wish he had Distributor instead. He does have Big Rig and Quick Pick. I think this card is pretty studly. I would not activate Close Quarters for 10 ability points, but I would certainly activate Big Rig and Quick Pick. I think this card would be phenomenal up the center, especially you don't need speed as much for those centermen, so I would probably pick up this card if I was a Sabres fan. In my opinion, there's better options out there for you that we're gonna get to here in just a minute. But overall, this isn't a bad card. I love his size. I just think there's better options for you. Coming up next is ANDREI SVECHNIKOV. Now, he doesn't automatically do the Michigan goal, unfortunately. I wish he did. That would be sweet. I've yet to pull that off in game. However, I do like this card. I like his size. I don't really love his speed on the wing. Now, of course, if you're a player that likes to play puck possession and that's your MO, then pick him up. Give him a shot. I think he might be a good card for you, at least for a few months. But overall, I would probably target Drysdale's X Factor before I would pick up this card. Up next is another Anaheim Duck in TREVOR ZEGRAS at 6', 182. I think this card's actually pretty solid. He's good at really everything. Again, he's one of the most well-rounded cards, but where it counts, he's pretty amazing. 93 acceleration, 93 speed. I think his size is fairly middle of the road. His shot's awesome, as well as his hands. I do like third eye. I probably wouldn't activate anything else here, But this is a really solid card. If you're looking for a centerman, maybe a third line center, I think he'd probably play something like Stamkos right now. But again, if we're comparing apples to apples, the thing that I dislike the most about this event is that these cards are capped out at 92. However, if you're not gonna have a fully stacked team, pick up this card. He's gonna be a great option for you. I, as opposed to this card, would be targeting either an Eichel or especially a Stamkos X Factor. For about the same amount of coins, you can get it fully decked out. So again, I'm trying to give you guys some other options out there when you're evaluating whether or not these cards are worth upgrading to their full max potential. Up next from the Buffalo Sabres, we have Rasmus Dahlin. So, elite edges, ankle breaker, and shutdown. Out of all those, I would activate shutdown, especially for only one ability point, and I would leave Heat Seeker off the board. Without those abilities even talked about, let's talk about this card. 6'3", 207. Great size, 90 XL, 91 speed. He's probably gonna be one of the faster left-handed defensemen, especially at that size, for at least another couple months. So in my opinion, you can get away using this card over the next few months, but it's just close. I just don't think he's gonna be one of those cards that I would pick up right now. As opposed to this, I'm targeting Roman Jossi's X Factor, as opposed to this Dahlin. And again, if you're a Sabres fan, or conversely, if you don't have necessarily a stacked team, pick up Dahlin, but as opposed to that, I'm targeting Roman Jossi's X Factor. And coming in at number 6, we have Quinton Byfield at 6'4", 220. He is a big boy. I think he's a little bit slow, but I would look at activating Shutdown as well as Unstoppable Force on him. I think Back At Ya is an interesting one, but I probably wouldn't activate that. Overall, this card's awesome. 6'4", 220, you can't beat it at center, especially for his size. His shot's pretty good, his hands are phenomenal. He's gonna be a really hard player to take the puck off of. Paired up with some quick wingers, I think this card's phenomenal. If I'm looking for comparables to this card, I would probably rather target DRYSDALE's X Factor or even Kopitar's X Factor, but that's to be determined. For the time being, I think Quinton Byfield almost cracked my top 5, but he's a pretty solid card. If you're looking for a big centerman, he's not a bad pickup. Coming in now at number 5 is ALEXIS LAFRENIÈRE at 6'2", 193. I do love the fact that he has distributor. He certainly needs it. This makes his card very interesting. The shot is amazing. Look at his hands though. 98, 99, 97, 97, 99. Like it's unbelievable. You don't need Unstoppable Force, especially with hands like that. I think Truculence is an interesting one. I would probably look at activating that, and I would leave Third Eye as well as Make It Snappy off the board. Although Third Eye you might be able to get away with. However, this card is one of the better ones in my opinion, based on his size, based on his shot, and especially based on his hands. I think this is a phenomenal card, and you can probably play with this card at least for a few months if your team is fully stacked. Otherwise, I think this card's gonna be on your team for quite some time, at least well into the spring. At number 4, we have Tim Stützle, 6'1", 187 with Light the Lamp, Protector, and Magician. Acceleration and speed is already fantastic without any synergies on it. 93 speed, 93 excel. Hands are amazing, shot is incredible. I think it's pretty difficult to take off of the puck. I wouldn't really activate any of his zone or superstar abilities. You might be able to get away with 1T, I just still don't think it's necessary. This card's just fantastic where it counts. In the hands, the shooting, and the speed, this card's phenomenal, not to mention that his defensive awareness is a 96, and stick checking a 93. I love this card. I think he's gonna be one of the best wingers that you could pick up from this collection. In my opinion, the best center in this set is Kirby Dach. It's 6'4", 197, and you can also throw on Unstoppable Force. Again, I would probably leave that off, or you can also activate Close Quarters. I think that's gonna be a great one, especially if he's using his body to get in front of the net. That's how I play, and that's the meta in this game. But when we're just looking at this card at 90 excel, 91 speed, hands are phenomenal, defense is great, as is stick checking. This card checks out, especially with his size. He's gonna be a phenomenal 4th line or 3rd line center, even for months to come. So I would pick up this Kirby Dach card. He's one of the 3 cards that I am targeting in this collection. At number 2, we have Jack Hughes. Now I did play with his card last year, his 92 overall master set card, and it was on my team for quite some time. If you look at this right now, he's very comparable to the Evo Duchesne sitting at 93. He has a 95 acceleration, 94 speed, which is absolutely unreal. I would throw this card on wing. His shot is incredible. Hands obviously almost at a 99 across the board other than offensive awareness and puck control. And his defense is great. So for me, this is the card that I'm 100% targeting. If I'm you, again, I would put him on that right wing slot side. I think he's gonna be phenomenal, and I think he's a card that can stay on your lineup for quite some time. In my opinion right now, Bowen Byram is the best left-hand defenseman in the game. 6'1", 190, pretty good size. You can also activate wheels if you so choose. I probably wouldn't. I may activate send it as well as shutdown. So for only 4 ability points, he has 2 of the best superstar and zone ability combinations you can get in the game, in my opinion, for a defenseman. His numbers are great across the board. This card is just amazing. Go ahead and pick it up. Everybody that has used it loves it, and by far the best left-hand defenseman in the game right now. So I would go ahead, if I'm you, target Bowen Byram, target Jack Hughes, and maybe target Kirby Dach if you need a center. Other than that, that is how I would break these cards down, guys. So I hope this ranking system helped you. That's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. And if you love NHL 22 content, I personally would love to have you stick around. Make sure you go ahead and click subscribe. Again, I'm Man Advantage, and I will see you guys next time.